This is Dr. Dre. Party's going on. Thank God it's Friday.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Hey, life's a risk, carnal.
I do a great impression of a hot dog.
Billy likes to drink soda.
So am I to understand that you men completed your training on your own?
That's the fact, Jack!
Come on, seriously, who is that?
I only came here to do two things, man. Kick some ass and drink some beer. Looks like we're almost out of beer.
Hey, what is up, watchers? We are back with another edition of Now Watch This, and once again, my boy Luck is not with us today, but I got an app replacement. When I first got into podcasting, the first podcast that I did was with this man, and I will forever worship at his feet until the end of time. But we got totally rad Christmases. Gerry D in the house. Gerry, how are you doing?
I'm awesome, Joe, man. How are you?
Dude, I'm good. First off, thank you again. I know how busy a guy you are. You're on every podcast from every podcast out there. I think there's a week of you can go through a week of throughout the year, and Gerry's at least on one other podcast. So I appreciate your time. I know you got like 5 more to record today, so I hope I don't take your voice out.
No, I'll be okay. I got some honey lemon tea. I'm all set.
There we go, bud. There we go. Guys, I want to talk about this movie that we're going to do today, Gerry. It's another one of the movies that Luck will not watch with me. So I thank you for coming on. And it's weird because, we have a certain group of friends here, right? Our Christmas podcast friends, as I like to call it, or our podcasting friends in general. And bro, the reviews were a lot different than I expected to be for this movie. I thought everyone loved this movie, but I got, what is that? What the heck are you talking about? I don't even want to tell you what CJ said because I can't.
So, okay, before we get into it, I gotta say, I remember a lot of people, like in my life, not really remembering this movie.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just one of those, it kind of faded into obscurity. And I think it's because a lot of the leads weren't like super famous.
At the time.
Well, at the time, yeah, now they are. But like back in, what was it, 85, I think, when it came out?
Yes, sir, 1985.
Yeah, so like no one knew who Jim Carrey was, and the fact that he's like the star of this thing, I mean, come on, but and then Lauren Hutton was still, she was probably the most famous out of all of them, and Cleavon Little, but they weren't like big name draws. They weren't going to bring people to the theater.
No.
And, Back to the Future came out. I mean, no one knows Once Bitten. But for those that have seen it, most people, at least the ones that I've met, most people that I've met seem to at least like it.
No. So. Yes. And that was the thing too. It's like, I remember this being generally loved because but I think that's just the way I feel, because I got to ask you, Gerry, we always talk about, we got like certain movies that we watch during the holidays, right? During Halloween, during Christmas. I always use this as one of my lead-ins to getting into the horror movies. I always like to go horror comedy, and then that'll lead me into getting into the scarier stuff.
Okay. See, this is one I don't particularly, I do have some movies that I like to watch during Halloween and like spooky season and all that. This actually isn't one of them. This is one I like to watch throughout the whole year.
Oh, okay.
So randomly, it's, even like in fact, we were talking about it just the other day. I actually watched this one a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I feel like watching that. And then you messaged me like the following week. I was like, yeah, I'm down. It's like, that's so random that you picked this movie and I just happened to watch it. But it's just a fun, stupid, like typical 80s movie. And the soundtrack is like full of 80s synth nonsense that I love.
Yes.
It's actually like quite a banging soundtrack, man.
It actually is, man. Like I was gonna get into that too. It's like, okay, one, it's even the score that's kind of played. I like, they have the dream sequences in this movie. And the dream sequences in this movie, like they have like a certain soundtrack in the background, a score in the background. I like that score. The Once Bitten song. Okay, now as a Christmas guy, where you're like, oh man, they didn't go into Once Bitten and Twice Shy. And then there was what was it? Warrant, I think, made a song, or Great White made a song.
Yeah, Great White has Once Bitten. Right, yeah. That's Great White with David Coverdale. And it's funny because you say Once Bitten, or even when you're trying to like look for the soundtrack or anything, you type in Once Bitten, and it's usually that Great White song.
Yeah, and or you get the Christmas song. Like I know you would be more.
Right, exactly. Or Last Christmas, will come up. But the song's actually by a band called Three Speed. They were together for a little bit. They only recorded like a handful of songs for a couple of movies, and then they broke up.
Yeah, they had a lot of scenes in this movie that were cut out. So they were in the background of a few scenes in this movie. It has that one, and then it has the great dance-off song.
Yes,
Hands Off.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I just, on the way over, we went to Aldi a little while ago, my family and I, and on the way back, I was like, listen to this. And so I put it on for them just from YouTube. And I mean, the whole time I could just picture them, doing the different dances. And then there's like that one part where it's almost like choreographed, where they're kind of bent over and they're like pulling each other, in different directions. Yes. And like, I could just picture that whole thing as I'm driving, just jamming out to the song. And my 11-year-old's like, what are you listening to? But it's so catchy though.
It is. Like you that song will stay in your 11-year-old's head for probably the next few months.
I know. Yeah, like take that.
He's my private property. Yeah.
Hands off. Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. But
now Karen Coppins, who plays Robin, that's Jim Carrey's girlfriend in this. She was a trained dancer. You know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of the girl in Breaking, but it's not the same girl.
No.
She had some...
Lucinda Dickey is from Breaking.
Yes.
But she also kind of looks a little bit like Courtney Cox.
Yes, she does. Yes. Especially from the Bruce Springsteen video.
Yes. That's what I was thinking.
Not Friends, Courtney, but Bruce Springsteen video, Courtney. Yes. I got you.
Yeah. She has that. She kind of has that vibe to her. Just almost like from Masters of the Universe, Courtney Cox,
Oh, yeah.
Like that same kind of just innocent, but, maybe a little dangerous, but,
little bit of innocent, Gerry, because this is 1985. We're getting into like the PG stuff.
Right.
Now, this wasn't like, I've heard people compare this to like a raunchy 80s movie. This was not that. There's a couple of scenes that are a little bit iffy, and there's a lot of, I guess maybe talk, but there's a couple of cuss words. Now, one of my favorite scenes is when Karen's like, Mark don't like you because you're evil and vicious. He likes me because I'm pure and innocent. So, and she doesn't say back off, but she says something. So, she is sweet and innocent, but she does have that little bit of...
She does have a little bit of an edge. Yeah, exactly. But I think that's why it works,
Yeah.
You're right, though. It's totally not in the same genre as like Porky's or, any of those. I mean, it's not really a raunchy sex comedy. It really is more about like the vampire stuff that just happens to have a little bit of that 80s teen, type of comedy in it. But it's really, it's not really like that,
No.
So I don't know why people would place it like that, but.
Yeah, I heard someone mention it. It's like, it was a mixture of Porky's and Fright Night. I was like, it totally was not.
No,
to me, like, this is its own movie. Like, again, it's in the vampire genre, of course, but there was little differences, right? Like the blood transfusion that the Countess has to get in order for her to stay young. She don't just have to feed on anybody. She has to feed on a virgin.
Right.
Now, let's start there. Let's start there, Jerry, because
Well,
uh,
before we do that, I have a
okay,
question. Are you into like vampire movies? Is that like your
I think so.
like when
I
horror comes around? Is that
yeah,
is that one of
I
the things you think about? Like, I
like
want to
I
watch a vampire flick or something.
yeah, I like Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now,
Yeah.
I get into like, okay, well, if I'm doing that, then I want to watch Fright Night as well.
Yes.
Do I get into Fright Night too? I'm not sure yet. You
That's a
know,
whole nother thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Fright
I
Night.
like that, man.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I love so like out of all the Universal monsters, like Dracula was always my favorite. I love Christopher Lee and the Hammer films, those vampire flicks and Dracula flicks, and then like you mentioned, The Lost Boys and
Hmm.
Fright Night and Salem's Lot, the TV movie,
Yes,
and all
yes, yes,
those,
yes.
all these like lesser known ones. I actually really dig, and because there's something like dangerous and,
Hmm.
and kind of sexy, but also like you're nervous, you get nervous about it, as like as
Yeah.
these people, and so it's just there is something about it that it's like okay, maybe, but I really dig it. So I was just curious to see where you fell, but
No, and then like one of our favorite '80s movies was the Monster Squad, right?
yes.
Led and which has to me one of the best on-screen Draculas that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that movie was great. Now, you brought up 1985. You brought up Back to the Future. Now,
Mm-hmm.
1985. Metro Golden Mayer makes this movie. You know who their first pick for the lead was?
I
For the first
actually
thought?
I actually do. It was Michael
Yeah.
J. Fox.
Yes, yes. But Metro MGM didn't think that he could carry a movie. Meanwhile, he goes over and he does another genre horror movie, and he does Teen Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hey man, we could have had Michael J. Fox in this movie.
I would have
Now,
dug it. I
yeah,
think, look, Jim Carrey, he's not like full blown Jim Carrey. He's a little bit
no,
more subdued, but he's kind of like a Jim Carrey halfway between like Ace Ventura and what's the Majestic. He's kind of
oh
like
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
kind of like somewhere in the middle there.
But and that's the thing, like you can see the beginnings of Jim Carrey here, right?
Hmm.
You can see the
Totally.
little instances, and like I said, I'm not saying I wanted to see the Michael J. Fox. I really liked Jim Carrey in this part. Like to me, he carried the movie. He did a great job.
Hmm. And I agree.
Hmm.
I think if they had gone with like who they originally wanted, it
Hmm.
would be a very different movie.
Yeah,
I think they probably would have leaned a little bit more into like the seriousness of it. I don't
yeah,
think it
yeah.
would be, as because it is. I mean, it's still pretty serious, but it does lean a little more towards comedy. And I have a feeling if Michael J. Fox had been in there, it would have been just a little more serious.
Yeah, for me, I mean, not Michael J. Fox is the sexy part, but they wanted Elvira for the Countess.
See
That's
that
that's a
that's a,
totally different movie.
now you're leaning into the camp.
Yeah, yeah.
If they had gotten Elvira, it would have been like just really, really completely different. It would have been more campy. I think there would have been a lot more one-liners because
Hmm.
I can see Cassandra Peterson improvising some of the dialogue and
Yes.
improving some of the dialogue. Let's be honest, but like yeah, I think it would have played a lot differently. I know one of their choices was also Kathleen Turner. I
Yes,
think
yes,
if they
yes.
had gotten
That would have been a little bit more sultry.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Kathleen Turner, yeah.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
this was like Romancing the Stone era Kathleen
yes, yes,
Turner,
yes, yes.
dude. Like her and Michael J. Fox in a movie, I think that
Yeah.
would have been something. But
that
but
would that would have gave me Miss Robinson, are you trying to seduce me? Kind of vibes.
for real, for real. Instead, we got, "Are you a prostitute?"
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Do
I
I
can
have
be
to
whatever
pay?
you want me to be. He's like, well, good, because I only have $5.
And then he's like,
Yeah.
did we do it? Did I enjoy it?
Yeah.
And then he's like, well,
Oh.
I gotta tell you, I got a girlfriend, and what did she say? Oh, I don't mind being the other woman.
She says that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so crazy.
There are so many lines in this movie that take me back. Now, tell me, Jerry, you think this movie could be made today?
Oof.
There's
It's
some stuff
funny.
in there
There,
that might not be allowed today.
there's a lot of problematic stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
by today's standards.
Today's
In the
standard, yes, sir.
80s, like, I mean, all that stuff was different. It was a whole different generation. And sometimes my wife rolls her eyes at me when I talk about a movie, like this. But I don't know if it could. I think you'd have to be really careful in how
Mhm.
you did it. Like, I mean, you look
You're
at
talking about
movies
the
like
shower scene?
that's well, that would have been completely rewritten. They
Yeah,
would have
yeah.
done that a lot differently. But like just the whole sultry older woman,
Mhm.
going after like a young virgin man. I mean, or a
Yeah.
boy almost. I mean, I think that whole bit right there would have to be just handled a little more carefully. And then for sure that whole shower bit would have been rewritten because that would not fly today.
No, sir. No, sir.
It's like,
So, getting
oh
into the
man,
movie, okay, it's
yeah.
the Countess, played by Lauren Hutton, as we talked
Hmm.
about.
Right.
She's, as Sebastian says, she's 400 if she's not a day, or something.
That's right.
But
Oh,
she
that's
needs
so good.
virgin blood, right? She needs
Right.
virgin blood before Halloween so that she can stay young.
Which before this movie was not something that I was used
Aware.
to hearing.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? That's like its own spin. I feel like nowadays, anytime someone does like a vampire movie or a werewolf movie or any kind of these things, they always put their own spin on it. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Twilight now, they have sparkly skin or whatever. It's like this is kind of like their own spin. Like no,
Yeah.
a female vampire every however many years, whatever, has to have virgin blood 3 times before the full moon on Halloween or something like that. Something
Yeah, yeah.
ridiculous, which I don't know if that has to do with like ancient myths of female vampires. I don't know, but it just feels like that's not something we're used to in like the standard vampire,
No, no.
mythos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and okay, it's a good spin on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I can see where it is. Because we get the whole playthrough, and it tells you why she has to go after him
Hmm.
3 times, and she don't have him right there from the start. But
Right.
then it gets into she goes to Robin finds out, and she goes to the guy that's trying to help her, and he's the one that explains it to her. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Now I
Hmm.
like the dream sequences when Mark was actually a vampire.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like he looked like a good vampire. Like,
It's with his hair slicked back.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. He had, I mean, at least look wise,
Mhm.
but Jim Carrey can act as well, and you can tell he's still getting his feet wet here when it
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
to the
yeah.
acting. But
Yeah.
like when the kids, the ice cream, they go to him for the ice cream, and he's just kind of
He
like,
turns around.
like
Yeah.
bares his fangs. You get that, but so we get like some proto acting from Jim Carrey, and
The
you can see where he's
faces.
going to go in the future with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does the De Niro impression, which wasn't his best. I'll admit. It could use some work, but yeah, it was good.
I heard things. I
That's
heard
the
some
De
things.
Niro impression. Yeah, yeah. I heard things. I heard
Yeah,
things.
yeah. But I feel you,
Dude.
man. It's like he does make a good vampire. And
I-
it makes me actually want to watch like a film with him, like a serious film with him as like a vampire.
Right now, your vampire is your vampire the classic two fangs,
Mhm.
or like like in Blade where they just have this whole mouthful of fangs. What do you prefer?
I'm a classic guy. I prefer
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the traditional two fangs, and I prefer them to be their canines and not like Nosferatu. The very
Yeah. I
you know,
got you.
the-
I got you.
Yeah, I'm definitely like a Bela Lugosi, Christopher Lee kind of
Yes.
vampire. So much so that even though I love Fright Night, when he's like full vamped out and he's got like the weird, the ridges on his skull are more pronounced and his
Yeah,
face,
I don't like that.
that's not my favorite.
No.
But
I
of
like
course
Fright
that
Night,
movie's
but-
awesome. Yeah, I love the
yeah.
movie. Yeah, so good.
The part for me in Fright Night is the the creature feature guy. The movie
Vincent,
host,
right?
the horror host. Yes,
Peter Vincent or something.
Yeah, Peter Vincent.
Mhm.
Yes, because I've always liked that, and that takes me back. It's like, Gerry, when do you recall coming across Once Bitten?
So yeah, I don't actually remember.
Mhm.
I've been thinking about this ever since you yeah, not to pull the curtain too far back here, but
No, no.
you given me a heads up, and
Yeah.
I've been trying to rack my brain for like the last week or so, and I honestly cannot remember when I saw this. I just remember it was a long time ago. So I know I saw it in the 80s. And I think I saw it with some cousins, but I don't know for sure. I do remember watching it again after like decades of not seeing it,
Yes.
about 7 or 8 years ago. And it just happened to be on one of the channels. I don't know if it was TBS or, one of those. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember watching it and thinking, like, oh, I know this movie. And I sat down, watched it, and it was so much fun again. And so ever since then, it's one of those that for like the last 7 or 8 years, I just watched throughout the year.
Yeah.
But I honestly wish I could remember the very first time I saw it. I don't. I just remember it being on and me laughing and loving it, even though I might not have gotten all the jokes when
Yeah,
it
yeah.
first came
No,
out. You know
no,
what I mean?
definitely, definitely. Now, I remember it being like one of those midnight movies. You
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
USA would play them, but you're right, TBS, TNT.
Hmm.
If you were lucky enough to have HBO, it'd be one of those
It
movies
was,
that would
yeah.
play,
Hmm.
and it would come out. And then, especially once Jim Carrey got kind of big,
They started,
like
yeah.
this would come out. Now, again, I missed the video stores, but it was one of those big video store movies that would get rented a lot. And then it started being one of those movies that it would be a double feature movie.
Hmm.
And you like, if you can't find this movie, it's streaming on Tubi, by the way. But if you can't find this movie now, like, you could go to Walmart and it'll be on a double feature with some
Somewhere.
other movie, some
Right,
other vampire tied in movie.
right. And
Um,
I love the cover. The cover's so classic. I actually do remember going to the video store and seeing the cover.
yeah.
But I also remember that whenever we were with my parents trying to rent it, I wasn't allowed to rent it.
Because Lauren Hutton on the cover, man, she gave you
Exactly.
those feels. Yeah.
It's got a great logo too. It's
Hmm.
the O in once is like made it so that it looks like kind of like a crescent moon, and
Yeah.
there's the clouds, and the N on bitten is a little bit lower and pointier, so it's almost like a fang. I mean, it's a cool logo.
It
And then
drew you in right away.
sexy
Yeah.
Lauren Hutton is, yeah.
Yeah. Now, they redid the logo because upon test screenings before, it was just Lauren Hutton and Jim Carrey. Now, there's a lot of logos that you'll see with them, and then they
Hmm.
added Karen in at the end because she drew well with fans.
Yeah, I
Now,
mean, I get it.
uh, this movie, again, it gets released in other countries. It has some funny names. The one that I kind of thought that was a little too rough for it was called Virgin Boy Wanted in Brazil.
That's whoa, that
That
could
might
go a
give
lot
you,
of
yeah.
ways there, man. that's that's
Uh,
that's like bait for
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the cops.
Yeah, I'm probably not
It's
watching
a
that movie.
sting. It's a whole sting operation. Yeah, no, that's a movie. I'm gonna pass that. I'm sorry.
But yeah, now, again, this is 10 years before Batman Forever.
Hmm.
Jim Carrey is 8 years away from being a star, really. With as you said, Pet Detective and Dumb and Dumber, stuff like that. But this was right before another 80s show that I loved called In Living Color. Do you remember that?
I love In Living Color.
Yes.
Homie the Clown,
Yeah, yeah,
Fire Marshal Bill.
Yes.
Man, these are like, yeah, those are classic sketches there.
yeah.
Hope me don't
So
play that.
so again, like I don't know, like I want to say I probably saw like In Living Color and that before I maybe saw this movie, because
Hmm.
this wasn't a movie that, again, I wasn't gonna get to see in the movies at the time.
Right.
I probably caught it like on HBO or Showtime, and I just loved it ever since.
Hmm.
Now, he had a couple of buddies in this movie. What did you think of them, Russ and Jamie?
I mean, they're classic 80s buddy sidekicks.
Yeah.
They're like those classic characters. And they're both kind of sad sacks. They're trying to like make it with girls, and one of them is straight up like pervy.
No,
Like,
I'm a mature person, and you're a
Exactly.
mature person.
Let's just cut the, yeah, I mean, he gets right into it, and which is fun,
Yeah.
and it
No, he
almost
is.
works. In
Yeah.
fact, it almost works. But
Yeah.
then the lady's husband comes and, but like, it's just like this guy. It's never gonna happen for this guy until like
Yeah.
he's finally about to be married or something. It's
If you remember, like one of the early scenes in the movie, again, Mark and Karen are both. It's supposed to be seniors in high school,
Mhm.
which I do have some issues with.
Because she's like 20 something,
No,
27.
she's 27. He's 23. Now
Jeez.
it's not on the level of Grease. That's what me and Luck try to always always compare it to. It's not
It's
that
not
bad.
Stalker Channing.
Yeah, it's not 30-year-olds playing high school kids,
Right.
but it's pretty bad. Um, but they go to a makeout point at one point early in the movie, right? And
Right, right.
he's trying to get frisky in his little ice cream truck with her, and she denies him, and then he gets out, and the scene pans out, and everyone is in their car freaking
That's
doing
just
it.
crazy. I I do not remember that like from high
Yeah,
school at all.
yeah,
That's like how do you just do that? You like look over and there's people
yeah.
going at it like next to you. That's oh man. I
That
mean,
was a little bit much, little over the top, but it got to the point that okay, well, of course he's after her. She don't want to give it up.
right.
So he goes to his friends, and they decide to go to Hollywood for the night. Now, do you remember the cutscenes as they're going to Hollywood?
I not off the top of my head. I don't remember exactly what
The
happens. Why?
the,
What?
the thing that sticks out to me, there's a lady walking a freaking lion. The side, do you remember that?
I don't remember that. Gosh, I've seen this movie so many times, and I don't recall
Yeah,
seeing the
it's
lion.
just random. There's a lady walking a lion, and I'm just like, okay. So they go to this. They go to the bar, and the bar is basically like a singles bar, which the concept doesn't seem that rough to me or that bad to me. It's a singles bar where everyone has phones at their table. Yes, tethered phones, guys. They're landlines. There's not a cell.
Only like our audience probably would know, but I feel like
Yeah.
anyone else is like, what are
Oh
they
yeah.
talking about? Yeah.
Oh, there's phone booths in the corner. What is that?
Phone booths. Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
But then you had the phones that look like lips, right? And then that's when she
Mhm.
calls them over. The friends get distracted. As you said, the husband comes over. So he escapes with her. They go
Mhm.
back to her place where we meet Cleavon Little, which like
Sebastian, I think is
yeah,
his name. Yeah.
Sebastian. Um, and he's funny. Now he plays he's obviously gay in the
Right.
movie, and
Right.
she's like, Sebastian, come out of the closet, and he's like, well, I came out of the closet centuries ago.
he's
Oh,
and he's fun. He's like a
yeah,
bright spot in like this movie. I love Sebastian. He's just
yeah.
he's sassy and he's not afraid to talk back to his countess.
Oh
And I know
yeah,
it's like a
yeah. He
stereotypical, gay butler thing, which I know the writer got some
yeah.
flack for, but he's fun. He's great. He really is just a great character.
One of the things that was talked about the writer of this movie is that he ended up he was working in a video store before the movie opened.
Hmm.
He used all his money writing the movie, so he ended up having to go back and work at the video store when the movie came out. And he happened to be there while somebody was renting the movie or returning the movie, and they said something along the lines of, "Man, this guy doesn't deserve to work in Hollywood." And he said something where, "Oh well, you got your wish."
You got your wish. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, "Oh,
Poor
that's
guy.
horrible, man."
That's
Yeah,
yeah, that's rough, man.
because it's a good movie. Like I hope that within time. Now this movie came out. It had a budget of 3 million, Jerry. It made over
Oof.
10 million, so it made money. And
That's
this
a
is the 80s,
yeah, right. That's not bad for its. I mean, that's three times its budget basically. And if you count
Yeah.
marketing, I mean, they still made quite a bit of profit there. So that's not bad. But critics just didn't like it.
And then you get into, but there's a lot of 80s movies that, again, we remember as classics or as good that were just one-offs, you know? You think about like a movie like The Goonies.
Oh, love it.
Or The Monster Squad, you know? Those are all one-off movies that we're like, I wonder why they haven't touched again, right? You know?
Right. I don't, and yeah, I mean, you're right. This is a time, like an era where there's just, you throw everything out there, see what sticks. And it worked. I like it. I think it worked. And it could be because of our age. I don't know. But, we really enjoyed it, but it just didn't seem to stick, unfortunately. And
because even like some of these songs in the soundtrack, none of them ever charted well or did well. But I love them.
Didn't pop. No,
like
I do too.
Yeah,
the whole thing is fantastic. It's a great, and you can find it on YouTube. Like just a long playthrough of the entire soundtrack album. But like trying to find the soundtrack now, it's like $70. I think was the cheapest I found for the CD. I mean, it's up there. Yeah. And same thing for Fright Night. You can't find the soundtrack CD for that either. Like you really have to go, and of course none of them are streaming because I mean, it's only guys like us that remember these movies, so they're not going to try to. But I'd pay for it, So
yeah.
So Hollywood, come on, anybody out there, you guys, you music guys, get this done.
right after y'all do the Meteor Man remake. We need a Once Bitten.
I love Meteor Man. It's so good. I haven't seen that since like.
Do you remember her? The Countess has a group of vampires there. Do you remember those guys?
I do. Yeah. There was some odd-looking ones there.
Well, it was funny because it kind of like showed her timelines, right? They had the Civil War guys, right?
Right.
It had the World War One flight guy. It had a flower child in there, so she went through her decades.
Well, and there were a couple of girls in there as well.
Yeah, that was never explained, Gerry. That was never like, hey.
Well, spoiler alert! At the end, when Russ and what's his name are trying to help him escape, and then they see like those girls there, they're starting to get maybe a little action themselves.
Yeah. But it goes. I think they go off with them, and then we never hear from them again.
Who knows what happens?
Yeah.
If the Countess were smart, she'd just get one of them.
Because obviously they were what she needed. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, guys. And of course we get that infamous shower scene.
Yeah. Robin, she starts looking into it, and then Mark so she gets Mark's friends involved. And she tells him that she has to look. Now, why she couldn't just look herself when he was obviously, willing to drop his pants for her, one would never know.
There's a couple of holes because I mean even Jim Carrey says like you could have just asked me and I would have checked, but
and the guy his friend's reaction to that was so great. You see, we really did like it.
We did. I knew we liked it. Yeah.
That was great.
It's like, oh, come on, guy. I think you know by now.
So the Countess had one transfusion. They get the second transfusion when she sees them in a store, right? Where Karen's working.
Clothes shopping, right. Yeah.
Clothes shopping, yeah.
Yeah,
or Robin's working. I'm sorry.
Robin, yeah. Karen's a real name. Robin works at the store. She, he comes in to see her, and she's like, "Here, try these clothes on." And all of a sudden, when he goes into the dressing room, that's where the Countess is.
And it gets the great. How do you tell a vampire's a vampire? Is they have the mirror, and he's looking at the mirror, and then he can't see her, and then he's like,
right.
Oh.
Well, and the whole time she has this thing about like she bites off the buttons on his shirt. That's like her thing. And but it's funny
for no
because
reason.
Just I don't know why. But like she's getting ready to to do her thing with him, and
Yeah.
Robin's like bringing him clothes, like try these, and immediately she tosses them in, and the Countess would grab them and throw them
Yeah.
out. And I loved that as a
Yeah.
kid. I always thought it was so funny because Robin's like, "Oh, that was fast."
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
no, it's
really,
like
come on, he didn't try
past.
those on.
Yeah, she's like pastels. Ooh.
Yeah, it was the '80s. It's all
I
neon and
don't know.
pastel.
I guess, yeah, yeah. I guess if he was going for that Miami Vice look,
Mhm.
and then we get to the great dance off scene, which is, I think, if you ever mentioned this movie to people, this would be the scene that people remember the most.
Remember most, yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's what I remember the most, honestly,
yeah.
because she's
There was
Robin's Red Riding Hood, and the Countess has that
yes,
like tuxedo bikini thing
uh,
with the
you
leggings.
know
I don't know what it's
the
called, but
the she looked like a magician's assistant
there you go,
to me,
like
and that looked
Zatanna.
like Zatanna. Yes, exactly. I was
Yeah,
searching for that damn name in my head.
yeah.
But yeah, she looked like Zatanna to me. Now
Hmm.
they do the dance off, right, and it becomes great. And then Robin, she takes off her suit,
She
and
starts, yeah.
yeah,
That's
and
well,
the
that's the only
Countess,
way to like counteract the effects of like the glamourine. I think that's what it's
yeah.
called, or whatever, of the
Well, he
Countess.
goes, what does he goes? He goes. She's like, I'm the owner of the pants you've been trying to get into for the last 4
He says
years,
it.
and he
That's
snaps
right.
out of it. Robin?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
at
okay.
that point, if you know
Yeah,
the Countess needs a virgin, I'm just
yeah,
saying, like, come
yeah,
on,
yeah,
put two and two
yeah.
together here.
Come
But
on, Robin, get with the
instead,
program.
that's
Yeah,
that's not what I'm saying. But you know what I mean.
yeah.
I mean,
Uh, I hear you loud and clear, Jerry. I hear you.
no, but like
Oh,
they could have come up with something
yeah,
to change his status, I suppose.
yeah. That's
Oh
the way to say
man.
it. That's the way to say it. Now, I like it. I loved it. I love that whole bit. The whole dance off scene.
Hmm.
One of my favorite things about Lauren Hutton in these scenes is when she exits the scene. Now, earlier we saw her, she always has to push somebody right there. She's
Hmm.
walking and there's somebody right there. She just pushes them out of the way. Now in the dance scene, because it's a costume party, she happens to push a nun over. It made it a little bit more funny to me. I'm sorry.
Well, I just immediately, like, not soon thereafter, he wins like best costume as a vampire,
Yeah.
which I was like, come on, there were better
The-
costumes I saw. But but on the other hand, he's like so mad, like I'm not wearing a
yeah.
costume, and it's his
Yeah.
anger and frustration that makes Robin start to suspect, well, maybe something really is going on. So she goes after
Yeah. He's
him,
becoming a
and then that's when he
vampire. Yeah.
notices his own reflection's gone, So it's like this whole thing
Yeah.
ties in to this Halloween dance or costume party or whatever it is.
And it's great, man. For me, it's great. Like I really, again, I like the whole camp of it. I
Hmm.
like the whole as he transforms into vampire. If you remember early in the movie, he wants to eat a burger and he wants that thing fucking burned. You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
he makes him char that burger, and it's like, now that's a burr. Then he's eating lunch at the school, and he asks for a raw patty,
Yeah.
which
Hmm.
grossed me out all together. Um,
I mean,
if you remember,
you gotta have it, like medium is, I think, is like the furthest you go with something like that. You know what I mean? But but not
I was just saying
raw.
raw hamburger meat. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and
We're
then there's the
Hispanic, right?
scene
We like
where
it
his
all.
mom is making.
Well done.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you what.
Uh,
His mom is making like a whole either rack of ribs or a whole thing of steaks in the morning because she
hmm.
juices that bag. You remember she takes the blood out of the bag,
And
and
yeah,
there's
she
the
starts
scene where
squeezing it
he has a
into
cup
the
of juice
glass.
and a cup of
Hmm.
blood. Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never seen that where you save the blood. Like maybe she was making.
I don't know
I
what
don't know.
she's gonna do with that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
assuming she's gonna dispose of it and just didn't want to mess. But no, I've
and
never
it's
seen that
early in
either.
the
That's
morning. Yeah,
You're born in blood, man.
Yeah.
and, and so, but but yeah, we get that classic bit where he grabs the wrong cup and he like downs the blood,
Yeah.
and his parents are just looking at him like, okay, whatever. I
Yeah.
forgot what they said. The
And then
dad says something, but, but
I remember he's sleeping in the case at one time, right? Like he's sleeping in that chest
mhm.
in his room, and his dad's like, get some rest, get a good night's sleep. And then he's like, on the bed, to make your mother feel better.
Yeah, his dad is just like, I don't know what's what with this kid,
Yeah.
but I
Hey, hey,
yeah.
as a
But that's like
teenager's
classic
father,
80s dad, right?
yeah. Hey, as a teenager's father, I'm telling you, I'm scared to go in their room sometimes as well. Like
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
I don't know what's going on in there. I don't want to know what's going on in
Just
there.
knock a couple of
Yeah,
times first. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I keep telling my wife that, like, hey, you might want to knock before you go in their room. She's like, why? It's my house. I'm like, I'm just telling you,
just
you know,
I'm preparing
out of
you, I'm
respect.
warning you.
Yeah.
I did what I could. Now it's up to you
Yeah.
now. No, but I know what you mean. Like the dad
Yeah.
is, but that's also like classic 80s dad, they're kind of
Yes.
not really paying too close attention. It's like, yeah, okay,
'Cause
my kid's doing this. And then,
yeah.
wait,
And
what's
they
he
look like
doing?
older parents, right? Like,
I know.
and I guess, like, I remember, like, I guess that's it didn't seem that bad to me, but now,
Mhm.
like, I look at it and I have a junior in high school now. I don't feel that old. I guess
Right.
I know I am, but I don't feel it.
Well, no, I don't think you're old. I mean, we're about the same age. I don't think you're old at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, right. Like I don't see
Oh,
his dad doing a podcast about 80s movies.
no, definitely not. No. If he did, it would be like, I don't know, just
Yeah, we're
sports.
cool, Jerry. See, we're cool.
Well, no, but I do like how, like, when he's kissing Robin later on, and he ends
Mhm.
up like they're kissing, and he like bites her, and she
Oh
says,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and she says something like, "Ow, you bit me," and he's like, "Well, you shouldn't be so sweet," or something like that. I mean, it's it's
At
like this
80s, it
guy.
worked. It worked.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like, whoa, whoa, that
Cause
wouldn't
like she
fly
keeps
today.
telling him like, I know you want to do it. I do too. I want it just as bad as you. And he's like, yeah, I don't think
No,
so,
he's like,
Robin.
no, no, it's not just as bad. No. Oh man.
um. Okay. Till we get to the end,
Hmm.
Robin ends up getting kidnapped by the countess. She's like, this Robin tramp's gonna be a little bit more trouble than I thought. So
Right. Hmm.
they take her away. Now, why they don't think to kind of maybe turn her into a vampire again, I don't know. It makes sense somewhere. And the friends help him go and get her back. There's a lot of funny things, but
There's like a total
uh
Scooby Doo like chase. Right there. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like
yes, yes.
the
Where
running
the
through
countess
doors,
is
running out
like,
of doors.
oh, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in those things. They bring the cross out, right? They
Yeah.
bring the cross out, and the countess is like, I'm atheist. I don't believe in those things. And then, when they bring a little candle out, and she's like, fire. On the other hand, oh my god,
it's it's just funny,
I
but
think they tell Sebastian, you want a fire crotch, and I was like,
yeah,
oh my god,
they do say that, and he's. I mean, it's basically this movie's version of like, boy, that escalated quickly,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
And then
man.
so as you mentioned, there's a Scooby Doo chase, and it ends with the room full of caskets, right? And Mark has the big casket in the middle. And when a casket is rocking,
That's,
Jerry, you don't come a
you
knocking.
never come knocking. That's like my favorite part. And she's like, you couldn't have done it. You didn't have enough time. And then all of a sudden, Jim
Yeah,
Carrey comes out, and he's, Mark, and he's got his cigarette in his mouth, and she's like, you could
yeah.
have, but you didn't have time to enjoy it.
That's one of my favorite lines.
It's so good.
I thought it was great, man. It was so
It's
good. It was,
although it did
and,
make me think that's a huge casket for two people to
yeah,
fit in
yeah,
there, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oversized
And it's
casket.
mentioned earlier, right? It's like they get mad at him, right? The other vampires, the older vampires. Why does he get the new casket? And he's like, he's
Hmm.
80s.
Right, exactly. Which again sums up like the 80s. It's that
Yeah.
decade of excess, you know? So, oh goodness. It's like so perfect.
Again, I enjoyed it. You know, the two buddies that are, the nerd friends are classic 80 tropes. And it makes me wonder, is like, again, did these follow tropes made before it? Because this is
Hmm.
1985 now.
Hmm.
Or is this just one of those movies that helped create those 80s tropes, Jerry? What do you think?
Ooh, that's a good point. I think watching it now, it makes me think that it just followed. But
Hmm.
I'm trying to. I mean, there usually is those like two bumbling buddy sidekicks.
Yeah. We
That's
we did
man,
a
that's a
movie
tough
last year.
question. That is a tough question.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh man, I love Killer Clown. That's another classic
Got
one.
the two bumbling buddies, got the
Hmm.
ice cream truck, got the friend, it's all in one.
Yeah, yeah. It must be. I mean, it's got to be right. It's got to be one of those that helped start it. Maybe that's what I would think. I don't know, but
Um,
either way, it's like it's great because at least at the end, these guys. Well, we don't know for sure, but it seems like they're gonna
they'll get
get
their
something.
comeuppance.
They'll get something.
Yeah.
I don't want to say what it is, but yeah, it's good.
Um, Dude, it
Oh
is.
man.
Again, I know, like, there's a lot of people that get on. Maybe I don't know if you ever hear it, but me and Luck hear it all the time. About, kind of just being stuck in the 80s, but it was such a great time, bro.
Hmm.
It was
It
such a
totally
great
was.
time.
Hey, I'm always stuck in the 80s. I get it. But
You're
hey,
right there.
that's like my whole bit, being stuck in the 80s. No, but it I think what I love about it, it was so weird. And like we talked about throwing things at the wall and seeing what's sticking, and they threw
Yeah,
anything at the wall and everything. That's
yeah.
why we have like Jason the Wheeled Warriors cartoons. Like what?
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
it's the most ridiculous thing, but you watch it and it's like this cartoon's awesome. I mean, we have
No,
Thundercats and He-Man and all those, and I do feel like, unfortunately, in animation you can do a lot, and unfortunately in live action you can't always do a lot depending on your budget. And I
no.
feel like this if this budget had been a little bit more, I think they could have gone all in a little bit more on some of the special effects, and maybe
Hmm.
even get a couple of passes on the script just to make it a little bit better, more streamlined. And I think it would have blown up. And I feel bad that, they had, well, what was it, $3 million? They're like, all right, go make this low budget
Yeah,
thing. Because it could have
they
been
did a great job with
a
it.
fright.
Yeah,
I agree. But I think it could have been like
yeah,
a Fright Night level thing.
yeah. Well, I mean, you think about something that came before it, like something like a Revenge of the Nerds that
Hmm.
made a lot of money. Like, I don't know if you know this, like Porky's is reported to have made like 100 million in the box office.
I believe
Porky's,
it. I believe it.
one of the raunchiest 80s comedies in the world. Um, but yeah, I agree with you, man. Like, I don't think it gets a lot of the love. And even, like, dude, I've talked to some people, and it runs the gauntlet, right? Of, I loved it. Oh yeah, I remember that movie. Yeah, it's Jim Carrey, right? Yeah. To,
Hmm.
what the hell, man? That was a bad movie. To people that did not know one thing about it, like, I
Right.
have no recollection of that movie. So it runs the gauntlet of things. Now, Jerry, we get into a little thing on Now Watch This, is where we talk about, what was our favorites, and or what was the best thing for you in this movie. What was the best part, best, actor, whatever you want. What was the best part of the movie for you?
I mean, I got to go with the dance off. Like you said, it's the part
Yeah.
I remembered most. I'm one
Hmm.
of those people that when you say Once Bitten, the first thing I think of is all three of them kind of walking back and forth and then walking this way, pulling each other, to
Yeah.
the song. That's it's so ridiculous and stupid, but it's
Yeah.
awesome. You know what I mean?
Yes.
like
No,
like
it's
it's
great. Yeah.
like like it's totally dumb, but it's just so much fun. You're just like, man, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
And then Robin is taking more of her costume off and
Yeah.
getting down to like just a leotard, and the Countess is in the fishnet stockings and her little Zatanna
Yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just and Jim
It's
Carrey even kind of does like a Michael Jackson type thing, I mean, a
oh
little
yes, he does. Yeah.
bit. So
You've never seen anyone play air guitar with their leg, right? Yeah. It was
I've
great.
I've played air guitar on my kids' arms, but I don't
Yeah.
know if I've ever actually, just taken my own
That,
leg and played air guitar.
yeah. It's early
Uh,
Jim Carrey, man.
Early,
Um.
exactly. So that would be mine. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, you totally took mine because that was my favorite part of the movie
I'm
too.
telling you, it's so good.
You get the signs of early Jim Carrey. Like,
Hmm.
I wonder if they wrote this movie and then didn't think to go back and like you said, like knowing what Jim Carrey could do, and I'm
Hmm.
sure he was pulling stuff out
Right.
and kind of improvising while he was there. I'm sure there's a lot of um maybe better things that he could have done or he could have taken a little bit farther. But
Hmm.
again, it's perfect early Jim Carrey for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
we do
Agreed.
another part of this. We do another part of our show where we call "Surely You Can't Be Serious." uh,
I am serious, and don't call me
yeah,
Shirley.
that that's the clip.
Yeah.
What was the worst part of this movie for you?
Hmm.
If there's a worst part.
I really enjoy the whole thing.
Hmm.
It's hard to say. No, I think I know, and it's something ridiculous. It's not even that bad of a part. It's when Jim Carrey pops up into the clothing store that Robin works in,
Yeah.
and she's like helping this lady, this girl try to find something, and the girl's literally asking for help, but just because Robin sees her boyfriend there, she's
Yeah.
like,
She just.
just try this here. She just grabs something and throws it at the lady. I'm like, come on. And I'm in sales.
Yeah.
I'm in retail and customer sales. Like, you're not gonna.
Yeah. That's not. She's not. Robin's not very good at her job. Is what you're.
She's not good at her job. Nope, no. But other than that, I mean, I really like
Okay.
just about everything in this movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. There's not a lot of bad parts to it.
Hmm.
I can't say there's anything that I dislike. Like I said, I wish it would have gotten more of a push and more of a release.
Right.
Um, even because like you said, even now, like it's kind of hard to find on a DVD release on its own. It's always featured in like a double feature or a triple feature with other
Hmm.
'80s movies. Also, the featurettes in the movie, there's not a lot to it. There's not, you don't get the deleted scenes when
Right.
like with Jim Carrey, there was probably a lot of stuff that was carried on.
And they're probably all destroyed or lost somewhere, which is
Yep.
a
Yeah.
shame because I bet there was some good stuff. I know there was a scene that they cut where the vampires were all eating cockroaches, and Jim Carrey like insisted everyone eat
Ooh.
like real cockroaches, and then they cut the scene and a lot of the actors were all like just super
Oh.
pissed about it. It's like, yeah, I would be too.
Hey, if I was that 3 speed van, I'd be mad that they cut all of our
They
scenes
cut all
because
my scenes.
they
Maybe
filmed
that's why they
speed.
broke up.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. It's great.
Once
Okay.
bitten.
Uh,
So good.
now we
So
go.
good.
We always we do this. We go. If I can change, you can change. Everybody can change.
Nice.
What changes
I'm actually
would Jerry
that's going to
D
be
have
released
made for this
actually.
movie?
It's funny. I'm actually going to be releasing that movie, that episode in a couple of weeks.
Ooh,
Yeah, and
it is a
CJ was on
Christmas
that one,
movie.
so it is. Yes,
Okay,
CJ
okay,
was on that
yeah,
one, so yeah, you'll know it's going to be good. But
yeah,
okay, so I think I would have liked to have seen. I like the movie perfect as it, or just well as it is. I think I would have liked to have seen the intended version with like um, Elvira. Or I would have liked to have seen a version with, as we talked about earlier, Kathleen Turner and Michael J. Fox. I think that
Ooh,
could have been like really, really great stuff right there. And I think that would have brought it out to a different level. Not that it's not fantastic, but I think it's fantastic for, a select few. And I think with those two, it could have been fantastic for a bigger audience.
Yeah. That would have been something that maybe had driven it. But you got to remember, like even like Michael J. Fox was on Family Ties. He wasn't the big star that he was. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
but
true
yeah,
too.
him. Yeah, they could have been a couple people that drove this movie into a different direction or into a higher atmosphere. Now, for
Right.
me, my change would be, and it's not even a change, but I want to see the universe where Jim Carrey's Dracula and Michael J. Fox's Teen Wolf meet up. You know, let's get that universe going.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
I love the Universal
Teen
Studios
Monster Squad.
monsters are like my favorites, and I would be down
Yes.
for that. Yeah, Mark Kendall's
Yeah.
vampire, and oh gosh, what's Michael J. Fox?
Scotty.
Is it Alex?
It's Scotty, right?
Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, Scotty. Scott. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex
that's
was
right. That's from
Family
Family
Ties.
Ties. Yeah.
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 All right, Gerry.
I'd be totally into that, man. Let's do it.
Now, I don't have all the fancy stuff like because me and Luck had put because like for the best part we put the best around song, and it got us flagged because I put this out on YouTube now as well, and it got
Right.
us flagged on YouTube because of that the best around song.
Really?
Yeah, so we don't use that clip anymore. Now, you
So
tell me,
good.
Gerry.
It's such a good.
Yeah, you tell me,
song.
Gerry.
Mhm.
I'm gonna borrow from Totally Rad Christmas a little bit here.
Okay.
You gotta gag me with the spoon for me here.
Yeah. So this is a bit I do on my show where it's basically like yours, the worst part, except we
Yeah.
do impressions. So, so yes, I do. And it's not even that bad. It's just his line
Yeah.
delivery and the accent that the guy does it is just, it just cracks me up
Okay,
every
okay.
time. And it's just like, oh, if they had gotten like a better actor, like if they had gotten Peter O'Toole to say this, to do this part, or Peter Cushing to say this part. But this is from the
Okay.
bookseller, the bookstore
Yes,
owner.
yes.
And when he's talking to Robin, and he's talking about how they need the female vampire needs the blood of a virgin, and he's like, well, there are no 18-year-old virgins, and Robin says something like, well, what if he was a virgin? And the bookseller says, well, then I think he has a lot bigger problems to worry about than female vampires. It's like, come on, man.
Yes, and this is
It's
classic.
terrible. My terrible impression of him.
Yeah, this is classic '80s though, right? Like everyone
totally
was trying to
is,
lose their
yeah.
virginity, right? Yeah,
That's right. Everybody was. And you think about like the little brother from The Last Dragon, or
Yeah.
from Just One of the Guys, or like all the little
Oh.
brothers are like so obsessed with this stuff,
Yeah.
And
Just One of the Guys, man. I love that movie.
that's another good one. Yeah.
That's a great pull, Gerry. Now I got you this one. Okay, this is for me.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Russ, and I'm a Sagittarius. I enjoy surfing, candlelit dinners, and Tolstoy. Listen, I'm a mature person, and you're a mature person. So why don't we just skip all the bullshit, get rid of our inhibitions, and do what we really want to do?
And the girl's like, yeah, I'm all in. I'm on board. Let's do this.
And then he's like, "What? What?" Going to pick up a girl at a laundromat. Yeah,
That's
one of the great scenes too.
that's that's
Yeah.
next level desperate, I think. If it happens,
Well,
it happens.
Gerry.
But going there, come on, guys.
Yeah, Gerry. I kept you on for about an hour here, but I thank you for coming in. I
Yeah,
appreciate it so
anytime, man.
much. As I said, speaking of virginities, I lost my podcast virginity with you and Anthony Caruso. So I'm sure there's a better way to put that. But
I was gonna say, let's never say it like that ever again.
Anthony
yes.
will say it like that. Anthony will say it
Anthony
like that.
would
He'll
totally
probably
say it
go
like that.
a little bit further.
Oh man.
So,
Yeah.
Gerry,
But
if
yeah,
you could,
that was a fun episode.
Yeah. Can you plug yourself a little bit here?
Sure, sure. Were we going to talk about? But before we do, were we going to talk about how many raw burgers we'd give this?
Oh yes, I'm sorry, Gerry. Good job. Thank you, Gerry.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Me and Gerry, as Luck and I do is like we try to give the movie, we give it our taco rating, but we've always like ventured into some kind of food that's in the movie.
Right,
So I
right.
decided with raw burgers on this. How many raw burgers are you giving this movie?
Well, let's see. How many? What's our max? Can we go up to the? Is it 1 through
I
5,
usually
or can we
go
go
up
to the
4.
10? Okay, okay.
We go to
4.
4. We go to 4 on the
Four.
Charburgers. Yeah.
Okay, 4. Okay, then I really like this one. I'm gonna give it 3.5 raw. Well, okay, 3 raw burgers and 1 like just scorched one.
One charred.
1 charred, yeah.
Now that's a burr.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, Gerry. Again,
And a glass of blood.
Yeah, you got to chase that with a glass of blood. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's right there. It's a great movie. The rewatchability that's big on our guy Chuck scale is
Mm-hmm.
there. I watch it I watch it every year as we get ready for the Spook Fest, or like I do now. And halfway to Halloween, I start getting that itch already
Mm-hmm.
to watch something with kind of a scary tone to it, and this is perfect for me.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I really agree, man. It's just funny. It kind of it starts to get a little, into the
Campy, yeah,
monster stuff, but like not so much that you're like,
yeah,
I'm all in, and you get burned
yeah,
out.
yeah.
And you're
It
like,
just
"Ugh."
touches it just a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah,
exactly. You're just like, yeah, it's
yeah,
fun, and Jim Carrey and Lauren Hutton. I mean, it's
yeah.
it's good stuff, man.
And I while I don't remember holding it back too much, I want to say once my kids were 11, 12, I want to say I watched this with them. I don't think it's too far gone to where you need to be like, well, I can't watch this with kids or nothing like that. Now, I wouldn't go
Right,
too young with it, but it
right.
around that teenage level, it plays
I
well for
agree.
them.
Well, and
Yeah.
I'm sure I saw it when I was like 7 or 8. So
Well,
now, should I
no,
have? That's a
well,
whole nother
yeah,
question. But
no,
in
no,
the
yeah,
80s, everybody did.
yeah.
you
There,
know, I saw
me and Luck always
RoboCop
get
when I
into
was
that.
young.
Yeah.
So
Oh yes, yes. There was a lot of
and a
stuff
guy
that we saw in
explodes.
the 80s. Yes, yes, that we probably shouldn't have seen.
That's, that's
RoboCop
true.
had the "I buy that for $1" scene, and you're not,
Oh yeah.
like, what is he talking about? What is he buying?
Yeah, yeah, but
Uh, yeah,
yeah, but but no, I agree.
yeah,
It's like perfect. It's kind of a nice intro, and it's just funny. So that's why I watch it like throughout the year randomly. I'll watch it like 3 or 4 times a year, but I do that with other movies too. But this is one that I think is just fun and ridiculous, and you don't have to think. You just kind of can play. You know what I mean?
yes.
So
Again, Gary, I appreciate your time so much, man. Thank you for coming on. But I need you to sell yourself just a little
oh
bit
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I am the host of Totally Rad Christmas. It's a year-round Christmas podcast. So I know a lot of people don't like to do Christmas year-round, but it's my catch is that it's all about Christmas in the '80s. So if it has
Yes,
anything to do with Christmas in the '80s, toys, movies, TV specials, TV shows, music. I even talk about comics. I'll get into food. I'll talk about fashions and fads. I got some fun stuff coming up. You can find me, of course, at totallyradchristmas.com, or I'm anywhere you get podcasts. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Totally Rad Christmas, Twitter at Rad Christmas. But yeah, I got some pretty cool stuff coming up. We got, let's see, hold on, let me get my release schedule here. So Amy Grant just dropped today. I've got another Newhart episode, because there was one that is actually a Christmas in May that Newhart did that I had no idea, and I was watching it and it just
yeah,
snuck up on me. Brave Star. I don't know if you remember the cartoon and toys of Brave Star by Filmation.
yes,
So
Yes,
Brave Star's
sir.
coming out. Heathcliff, a Disney Christmas Gift. I've got Rocky IV, like I mentioned, coming out, and then a few others standards like Home Alone 2, which is technically not 80s, but I give a few leeway years here and there. I go actually from
Yeah.
77 to 93. And then I got
You
like
know,
some weird
80s-ish.
stuff coming out. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny because I like to joke that I kind of play with the definition of 80s and play with the definition of Christmas because I'm going to be covering Tron on my show, which really
Uh,
has nothing to do with Christmas except for like one line that someone says. So,
it,
but hey, it's Tron. You got to talk
yes.
Tron. Yeah.
Yeah, I always mention it with Luck here. I'm like, Jerry, if it's anything close to the 80s, Jerry's gonna get it in.
That's right. That's right. And
Yeah.
actually, you and Luck were due back to come on my show, and then scheduling, and then injuries
Yeah.
happen, and work schedules change. So I'm hoping we can get you back on because we were going to talk about
Yes.
Super Dave, which I am jazzed for to talk about Super Dave, and I want to talk Better
I
Off
actually,
Dead with you guys as well. So
yeah, I actually
better.
still have my notes. Now Luck and I were able to get on with you. We did a Back to the Future episode with you,
That's right.
and
Yeah,
not the Back to the Future movie, but the
the
cartoon. And
cartoon. Yeah.
again, even that was so great. Now, we gotta get back in the studio again with you, Jerry. When Luck
Yes.
comes
Yeah.
back, so we're good. We're good.
Right on.
But
And
again,
I'm also hoping to have you back on to talk wrestling. So that's how.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, another 80s Christmas
yeah.
wrestling coming up in August, hopefully.
Guys, Jerry D does awards at the end of each year,
Yeah, that's right.
and
You are an
yeah,
award-winning
yes, I
podcaster
am
now.
a multiple time Ratty winner. So yes, I will count that. Now, I didn't win Raddest Texan this year, Jerry, and I'm a little upset with that. Now, I expected one of the Davila boys to win it, but the people who won Raddest Texan, Jerry, we got to go.
I
I demand a recount. Recount.
I actually thought originally I had my daughter in there as a nominee, and when she wasn't winning, I took her off because I didn't
Oh
want her to have to suffer disappointment. So I was actually
no,
surprised because anytime my brother's nominated for something, he always wins. So
they
I thought he
win.
was going to get
Yeah.
it. He didn't win, no, and it was not rigged in any way. The only time I ever rig something is when it's against
When
Anthony
you're the only.
because he's in on the joke, you
Yeah.
know. But
No.
other than that, I I feel bad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it again next year. So
I gotta let you know though that this past Raddies was one of my
mhm.
favorite episodes, man. I listened to it, and I think I told you what I was going through when I listened to it. So I listened to it with my wife. We could use some
Right,
cheering up at the time, and
right.
it was awesome. It was fun.
I,
It was
I,
awesome, Jerry. It was you and the Tis the podcast group
right,
and CJ as well.
uh,
Which
right.
I'm
I had a
surprised you
few.
didn't plug Tis the podcast because aren't you the third in that now?
No, not officially. I'm just I'm not an elf. I just show up. I'm just Rudolph. I
Okay.
just show up when I'm needed. You know. Um, but no, yeah, that's another. Those guys are some of my best friends out there. Which again is
Yeah.
funny because like us, we've never met in person. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's this year. I always try to do something
Hey.
funny
Yeah.
for the Raddies. I don't want to give away what it was in case you haven't or anybody hasn't heard it. Next year,
Yeah.
I have a great
It was
idea,
great.
and I can't wait for it to happen. So yeah, those are the totally rad Christmas
Well,
awards that you can find
yeah. It
every
is great.
April.
Like totally rad Christmas. Please go listen to Jerry's podcast. I recommend it. It's one of those that I do listen to year round. Along with Tis the podcast, because I'm
Hmm.
just a big fan, big friend. So that's why again I was so glad to be able to cut my podcasting teeth with you and your
Yeah.
in my first episode there.
Hmm.
And the other part of it is I hit you up from time to time and just again I always praise your show, but I've been able to get tips and hints from you. So thank
Yeah,
you, man.
anytime, man.
You're a big influence on me, and again we all strive to be as professional as Jerry D, but
I
we're
don't know
not on
about
that
that.
level yet.
I don't know about that. No, I do what I can, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Well,
But
brother, you're great. Again, thank you for
well,
coming
thank you.
on, Jerry. I
Appreciate it.
appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Guys,
Anytime.
that's our episode, man. I hope y'all liked it. Luck's gonna be coming back pretty soon here,
Woo!
and we'll start hitting our shows again. Gerry, we got we got into we're doing an actor episode now, and that
Nice.
episode is we're gonna cover an actor, and then we're gonna go through his list of movies. And the first actor that we're doing is Adam Sandler, which
Oh, nice.
I know he's not the best classically trained actor, but for us in our genre, like I think he
I
hits.
like
Yeah,
Adam Sandler. Man. I know
yeah, I love
Anthony
him.
Caruso from Tis the Podcast has issues with Adam Sandler. And I do know that like the last few films he's done, he's kind of phoned it in quite a bit. But
Yeah,
I mean, Happy Gilmore, Billy
yeah.
Madison, The Water Boy. I mean, Big Daddy, where
Wedding
he started to
Singer.
actually, The Wedding Singer was like he starts to
Yeah,
flex some of his acting chops in like Punch Drunk Love and a few others. Um,
yes,
Dude actually is pretty good, and from what I hear, he's actually a
yeah.
really nice guy, and a really great
Really
guy.
good
So,
friend. He did Grown Ups.
mhm,
Getting his friends paid. Putting his friends in movies. I
yeah.
like the Hubie Halloween movie.
I actually
Like
did
I
too.
like the Hubie Halloween.
I
Yeah,
can't believe I didn't think I was gonna, even though I really like Adam Sandler. I watching the trailer for it, on
yeah,
Netflix. I was like, and then I watched it. I was like, this is actually pretty
yeah,
funny, and
yeah.
and I liked it.
Jay,
I dug it.
hey, Hubie Halloween around your
Hmm.
Halloween time. I'm down. I'm
Okay.
down. Um, but I want to ask you real quick before we go.
Hmm.
What did you think of Eight Crazy Nights? Does
So
that get on your Christmas playlist?
I don't remember what year it came out. So if it was after '93, I probably won't cover it on my show. But
Hmm.
it is fun. I usually ever since I started working at the Christmas store, I haven't been able to watch as much as I'd like to, especially with the show because in December I
Yeah,
start doing 3 episodes a week,
yeah,
which is
yeah. No,
so yeah. October I start 2 episodes a week, and then in December I start 3 episodes a week. So a lot of my time is taken up watching stuff for the show, and so I don't get
yeah,
to watch a lot of it. I try to watch it when I can because it's good. It's a nice Hanukkah as well, and
yeah.
movie, and which there's not a lot of, and so it's great. I just I don't get a chance to watch it as often as I'd like, and especially once December hits. So maybe it's time to start changing that again. But I remember liking
Hey,
it. I liked it. I've seen it quite a few times, and so I did
I
like it.
I always like when Anthony talks about getting into the Burr months, man. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite
Hmm.
times of the year, so I love it. Well, again, Gerry, thank you for coming on, brother. Um, guys, please go listen to Totally Rad Christmas. I promise you,
Oh
you won't be
shucks.
disappointed. Um,
Oh,
go
and I
on
do. I
our
forgot. I forgot. Sorry, real quick. I do have
no,
a
go ahead.
Facebook group, the Totally Rad
Yeah, I
Christmas
was
Mall and
actually
Arcade.
yes,
Yeah,
I was
anyone
actually
can
gonna bring
join,
that
and
up right now.
you can
Yeah,
post anything you want. Yeah, so I know Joe's a member. He, sometimes he'll post new episodes of Now Watch This on there as well. So
yes, sir.
anything 80s, anything Christmas, you can put on there, and as long as it's not too vulgar, just because it's Christmas and
Yeah.
there's a little bit more of a sweetness around
Guys,
Christmas. So,
please, yeah, yes,
um,
yes. Now one of the things I like that we did in that we got actually in a ratty for was we did our Now Watch This song. So if I get with luck and he has the song written out or recorded, uh, I'll tag it in at the end of here. But
right on.
it had that '80s Toys R Us theme that was
It
just
did.
awesome.
I loved it, man. That's why.
Yeah,
And yeah, you won a ratty for that. So
yeah. I remember you made a ratty for us for that,
specifically
right? Like,
for you, yeah, because I
yes,
liked it.
yeah,
I thought it was
yeah.
so cool. I mean, not me. It
So
was the Academy of
the
80s and
Academy.
Christmas.
So great, Gerry. Again, man, go to nowwatchthis.com. It'll take you to our podcast on Spotify. Join our Facebook group, our Watchers page, or Now Watch This Watchers. You can reach us there. Again, thank you again, Gerry. You're the best, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, and keep watching and keep listening. Thank you.